Greetings. I'm Professor Hobo, and welcome to another, you got it, HOBOTECH News product review. Here's a product a lot of you have been waiting for me to review. It's the MAXOAK Bluetti EB240, otherwise known as the 2400 watt-hour power station. That's right, 2400 watt-hours. That's the size of 2 Battleborn batteries, but with a handle on it, and at a far cheaper price than 2 Battleborn batteries. This thing is very affordable at only 70 cents per watt-hour. That blows other companies out of the water like JACKERY, who charge more than 80 cents per watt-hour. This thing has almost every major feature you could possibly want in a portable power station, or solar generator. But is this the perfect large portable power station, or is it still missing some features? Let's find out. Now, this power station uses LG Chem branded lithium polymer cells. They are large automotive grade E63 cells in a 4S 3P configuration. MAXOAK claims a 2500 life cycle, but never specify to what capacity. So I couldn't find this information anywhere. So what I did is I did some research on my own about the actual cells, and I found out that Renault, the car company, uses this in their electric vehicles. They claim 1400 cycles to 80% capacity at room temperature. So if you run this thing at room temperature, you can easily get 1400 cycles out of it, but most likely more than 2000, especially if you don't discharge it all the way every time you use it. So yeah, this could easily last you 5, even 10 years. Now remember, this is like 3 times longer than what other companies like JACKERY claims. JACKERY usually claims about 500 cycles, which of course you can easily get 1000 cycles out of a JACKERY, but this is 3 times the cycles of a JACKERY. And for most cases, this is actually going to be a better buy because it's lower cost per watt hour and it lasts 3 times longer. All these other portable power station companies are using 18650 lithium ion cells, which are usually claimed about 500 cycles to 80%. Now yes, you can get easily over 1000 cycles in all of those devices just by not discharging them all the way, don't abuse the battery, don't have it out in 100-degree temperatures. Stuff like that will extend the battery life of any lithium device. Now, with 2400 watt hours of batteries in here, your first question is going to be, just how heavy is this thing? It's 48.5 pounds. That's pretty heavy, but it's still not as heavy as that Suoki G1000, which I think that thing's 60 pounds, and that has half the capacity of this. It's 19.4 by 6.5 by 14.4 inches, so it's actually packaged pretty well. It's not much bigger than the Bluetti 1500. It has about this much more on the back, and I think the other dimensions are about the same. So it's really only maybe 6 or 7 inches longer than the 1500 watt hour model. Now the build quality is exactly the same as the MAXOAK Bluetti 1500, which is its little brother. It's PVC handle front and back with an aluminum alloy case. Now, just like its little brother, the display is exactly the same. It has the 5-segment battery icon that shows you the state of charge. It also has display for DC input and output watts, as well as AC output inverter watts. Now, the inverter on this is still only 1000 watts. It's not any larger than the Bluetti 1500, so it's still a 1000 watt pure sine inverter with 2 AC outlets on the back. It does support up to a 1200 watt load for at least 2 minutes according to the manual. We're going to test that. This does have an MPPT solar controller built in, so it is a high quality solar controller, and we're going to test that here in a bit. Now, there's only 2 ways to charge this. Most portable power stations have 3 ways to charge. This one only has 2 ways, and the reason for that is the input on this requires at least 16 volts in order to charge, and your car, your vehicle, RV just can't put out 16 volts. Usually 14.4 is about the maximum that a vehicle can put out. So you cannot charge this directly from your car, truck, van, or RV. However, there's a workaround for that. You can actually use a small 300 watt inverter into your cigarette lighter plug and then use the charger that comes with this to charge it. That is an option, and I made a video specifically on this. Look for the 300 watt pure sine inverter video that I did. I'll probably link it up here. Really, this only has 2 ways to charge out of the box, and that is from AC wall outlet at 160 watts and up to 500 watts from solar. Now, if you're charging this from completely dead, using the AC wall outlet at 160 watts, it's going to take 16 hours to charge this thing from dead. Yes, it does take a long time to charge, but with 500 watts of solar, or you can buy a quick charger, which I have something on my website, hobotech.tv/Amazon, that I use to charge these at 500 watts. You can charge it as fast as 5 hours. You can also charge it in as fast as 5 hours from 500 watts or more of solar. What's really cool about the MAXOAK Bluetti, and this goes for the smaller model as well as this one, is it does have a 12-volt regulated output at 12.1 volts. So no matter how full or how dead the battery is, it always outputs 12.1 volts. That's perfect if you're running a refrigerator off of this or anything else that requires a certain amount of voltage from the 12-volt output. This does have 4 standard USB-A outlets rated at 3 amps, 5 volts, and 1 USB-C quick charge port, power delivery port, which is good for 45 watts. It does support 20-volt devices. So the warranty from MAXOAK Direct is 12 months. If you want to extend that to a longer time, usually when you add this to your cart on Amazon, they'll offer a third-party warranty service, which is extra money, but it is peace of mind if you want to get it. I think you can actually extend the warranty up to 4 years on this. So what comes in the box? Of course, you get the manual. You get this nice heavy power brick. They also include an 8mm to MC4 adapter, which means you can actually plug in regular solar panels into this, and then this goes into the Bluetti. This is the same 8mm that you use on JACKERY and other competing power stations. So yeah, that's really all you get. So of course, I put this thing through the normal barrage of HOBOTECH testing. Let's check out the results. We're doing the battery capacity test here. The starting voltage is 12.1. This should take approximately 20 hours to discharge at about 100 watts. Battery capacity test. This claims 2400 watt hours. We're able to squeeze out 2098 watt hours, which is 87% usable. That's pretty good. Okay, our next test is going to be to do a load test and see how many amps we can actually pull out of this 12-volt port. Now it says 9 amps on there, but I'm pretty sure we can pull at least 10. Let's go ahead and kick it on. Okay, there's 10 amps. Let's go ahead and see if we can push a little harder. Nope. Cuts you off at exactly 10 amps. So don't think you can actually get away with pushing this thing any harder than that. So there you go, 10 amps, and that is hard limited. Now we did test the inverter on this, and I did a little bit of a different test than I did last time. I actually tested the sine wave under load. So I put a hairdryer on this, and we saw what the sine wave looked like under load. Let's check that out. All right, pure sine wave test of the inverter. We're running at 120 volts, 60 hertz. You can see it is a pure sine wave. Let's go ahead and add a load. Now we're going to add a hairdryer, which is a very noisy load to this inverter. Let's see what it does to the sine wave. Hairdryer is on with no heat. The sine wave is unchanged. Let's add heat. We're pulling almost 600 watts. The sine wave is unchanged. This is a very good inverter. The inverter on this is actually pretty high quality, that even under an almost 1,000 watt load, that sine wave still stays pure. Now we did the inverter capacity test like we do with all other power stations. This has a rated 1,000 watt inverter on it with a peak of 2,000 watts. We're now going to perform the discharge test. We're going to push this inverter to its limit and see how long it can go. Inverter load test. Here we go. Okay, it does not like the hairdryer on high for more than a split second, so that's about 1,500, 1,600 watts, so we know it can't go for more than a few seconds. Let's try something a little less taxing on the inverter. Okay, let's go ahead and push about 1,100 watts, 1,130. Now it does say it will pull 1,200 watts for 2 minutes. That's about as close as I can get to 1,200 watts using 2 hairdryers. Let's see if we get at least 2 minutes as rated. 2 minutes. Doesn't seem to be a problem. All right, 3 minutes, no problem. 1120 watts. So what does this prove? This proves that if you have a small microwave that will pull under 1100 watts total, you should be able to microwave for at least 3 minutes on this thing. That's really going to change how a lot of people live in vans and RVs, when you can just have this unit, all in one unit, and run a microwave oven off of it. The biggest question I got about the MAXOAK Bluetti 1500 watt hour video I did about 6 months ago was, can you charge it while you use it? Otherwise known as pass-through charging. Absolutely. This thing is designed to take solar in or AC power in at the same time you use DC and AC. I figured at this price point that's a very obvious thing, but a lot of people ask me it anyway. This time I'm going to cover it. So what's the maximum charge rate? Now I tried to push as much as I possibly could into the input on this. I was only able to get about 505 watts at the absolute maximum because the BMS in this will actually regulate. If you try to put too many amps or too many watts in, it will actually regulate. And the maximum I was able to get was 505 watts at any consistent time. And that was trying with my own charger and trying with solar. Here we have the solar test of the Bluetti 2400. I have the Bluetti 2400 over here in my side-by-side. I'm gonna tell you guys how I have this hooked up, because let me show you what the weather's like today. As you can see, today is mostly cloudy. The sun is barely shining through the clouds, so I had to improvise. So the answer to charging the MAXOAK Bluetti on a cloudy day at its maximum rate is to overbuild your solar like you see here. I have 4 BOUGERV 170 watt solar panels. Now I paid for 3 of these myself. I liked it so much, I went out and bought 3 more. Now this is for a project I'm gonna show you guys later. Now how do I have this hooked up? I have this panel and these 2 in series. Then I have these 2 and this one in series. And I have both groups connected together in parallel using this parallel Y adapter. Now you can get these on HOBOTECH.tv/Amazon. And what it does is it allows you to parallel solar panels together. So you only need 1 pair. I have 2 of them in there. Puts them in parallel. Series parallel, that's what it's called, down to this wire. So all combined, this is 880 watts of solar. Let's go ahead and plug this in and see what we get. Now remember, this is a very cloudy day with 880 watts of solar. So here we go. We're at 460 watts. Hopefully it'll peak and get to 500. It's a little bit of sun peeking out of the clouds, but still mostly cloudy. There we go, 504 watts. The lesson here is that you can charge the MAXOAK Bluetti even on a cloudy day by overbuilding your solar system. It's designed from the factory to only accept a certain amount of power. So don't worry about putting too much solar into it. And this is proven right here. How many power stations can you actually put 6 solar panels on and get it to charge? There aren't very many out there, but there's your proof. Now the difference between this Bluetti and the 1500 Bluetti, this actually supports input up to 67 volts. The original Bluetti only supports up to 60 volts. Now don't be fooled, because it does say on here that the input is 60 volts. But that's not the case. It will handle up to 67, and that's confirmed by my own testing, and they told me this by the manufacturer. So we're gonna test using this exactly how many volts. So in order to bump it up to the required 68 volts, I have this voltage booster, so it's a pretty big one. I think it's a 600 watt. I'm taking 50 volts from there, and I'm turning it into whatever I want here, in this case 67.3 volts, and then pumping it into here. So what this does, guys, is this simulates solar. So I can turn this up as much as I want and see what the limit is on the input. So that way when you guys are shopping for solar panels for this thing, you'll know what you can get. Now I've just tested this. 67.3 seems to be the limit. And I'll show you what happens if you go over the voltage. So here we go. Plugging it in. And you'll see here that the voltage does drop as the Bluetti kicks in the MPPT. And you'll hear the fans kick on. There we go, 455 watts. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this up. Let's set it up to 67.5, and I'll show you what happens when I try to plug it in at 67.5 volts. Error 17. So 67.5 is too much, but 67.3 is just fine. It is proven that this thing can handle 67 volts. Because they wanted people to be able to put 3 solar panels in series, they upped the voltage on the intake on this. So of course, it's an MPPT solar controller, and we proved that in our testing. Now, if you want to know, will this thing shut off automatically if you have a USB load under 2.5 watts? I ran this thing, I plugged a battery charger in it, and I ran it overnight and actually forgot about it. I ran it for 2 days. There was no load on the port for 2 days. This thing never shut off. So you can run this indefinitely, at least the USB, you can run indefinitely without worrying about this thing shutting off. Now, one thing you need to be aware of, if you're running a load off the inverter, the AC inverter on this, it's not going to show loads under 30 watts. So if you have a small device you're running off the inverter, it's going to show 0 on this display unless you exceed 30 watts through multiple devices. Say you have one thing plugged in that's 25 watts, then you have another thing plugged in that's 50 watts. Well, as soon as you turn the 50 watt thing on, it's going to show 75 watts total because it will add up the output of both outlets. But if you only have the 25 watt device on, it's going to show 0 up here. So don't think your device is broken. That's just the way it's designed. It doesn't show the really small loads on the inverter. It does show the small loads on the USB port. It does show the small loads on the 12 volt port. Now, can this be paralleled, meaning can you get multiple ones of these and hook them together? No, you can't. Now, it doesn't stop you from buying multiples and using multiples at the same time, but they can't physically be connected together for more power. And the battery in this is not user replaceable, but it is replaceable obviously under warranty if you break it or destroy it in some way or wind up killing it. That's what warranties are for. So a lot of times people ask me in these more expensive devices, can the battery be replaced? No, not by you. So what do I like about this new 2400 watt hour Bluetti? It's huge friggin' capacity in a manageable size. It's really, really difficult to find anything this large that's this portable. It really is difficult. This thing could be your entire solar power solution for an off-grid cabin or in your van, or if you're boondocking in an RV. This is a lot of power in a small package. And yes, with an adapter, you can actually plug this into your RV and charge your RV house batteries, run everything in your RV, as long as it's under a 1,000 watt load. It will run your lights, your TV, your computers, your laptops. You'll run a coffee machine as long as it's under 1,000 watts. A lot of coffee makers out there, like the small 3-cup ones, are under 1,000 watts. It'll absolutely run an Instant Pot. I've ran my Instant Pot on this many times and no problem. It'll also run a small microwave and a small air conditioner. Now here's a little thing all you guys want to know: how long can you run an air conditioner on one of these? You can run a small 5,000 BTU air conditioner off this for about 4 hours. But if you have a large enough solar array and you can feed 500 watts into this consistently during the day, which is about what a small 5,000 BTU air conditioner takes, you could kind of run an air conditioner all day long. Because you get 4 hours out of this, plus you get as many hours as the sun is out off your solar panels at the same time. So what this will actually do is allow you to run it after dark for at least 4 hours. And for some people, that might be enough. Now, what else do I like about this? The price. This thing is insane bang for the buck. The fact that it's the size of 2 Battleborn batteries, and those 2 Battleborn batteries would cost you $1,900 just for the batteries. For less than that, you get the same amount of power with an MPPT controller, a pure sine inverter, a regulated 12 volt output, a nice display, an aluminum case, power delivery port for a couple $100 less. Now I task anyone out there to build this exact same lithium power system, 2400 watt hours with all the features I just mentioned, and try to do that at the same price point that you can buy this thing from a factory. If you can, send me a picture, show me a video, and I'll talk about it on the channel. So what else is super cool about this? The fact they use the long life automotive grade LG polymer cells instead of the lower end 18650 cells that you typically get from most other manufacturers. You can easily get 2,000 cycles out of this, if not more, before hitting that 80% capacity. Now, my last favorite feature about the 2400 that the 1500 didn't have is that higher voltage allows you to run 3 solar panels in series, where the other Bluetti, the older version, the 1500, only lets you run 2 solar panels in series. That allows you to put 6 solar panels on this sucker at least 600 watts of solar, and on most days, if it's sunny, you can expect 400, 450, even 500 watts charging out of 6 solar panels. So what do I don't like about the new 2400 watt-hour Bluetti? Well, the biggest letdown is the inverter size. They gave you this huge battery, but they left the inverter at 1,000 watts. Now, a 1500 watt inverter would have just been perfect for this and would have made it the top dog. It would have made it the top dog in the industry for the price, by far. Unfortunately, I can see many of you turning their nose up at this because it only has a 1000 watt inverter. Because many of you guys want to run 1500 watt microwaves or bigger air conditioners or whatever you want to do with all the extra power. You know, a lot of people might want to plug their 30 amp RV into this, and the 1000 watt limit, you're going to hit that pretty easily as soon as you put on a couple of small appliances. The other thing I don't like is the lack of a dedicated Anderson input. They're forcing you to use this, what I don't like, 8mm input for something that's 500 watts. That's a lot of power to put through one of these little barrel connectors. I much prefer a more solid and better connecting Anderson input. Now, I plan on keeping this Bluetti, and I'm actually considering drilling a hole in this and wiring my own Anderson input into it. But how hard would it been for them just to add an Anderson connector on this? I'm kind of surprised they didn't. Almost every major competitor is putting an Anderson power pole input on their power stations, at least the larger ones. One of the other things I don't like is the fact that you only get one USB-C power delivery port on this. A lot of people need to be able to charge from USB-A and USB-C. This should have multiple quick charge and power delivery ports on it, when it only has got the one, and then the other 4 outputs are just regular old school 5-volt USB-A, which is great if you have some really old devices. But if you want to plug in a couple of tablets or even a laptop or a notebook that actually uses the power delivery port, you only got one on this. That's kind of short-sighted. And also the design's a little bit simple, if you know what I mean. It's boxy. The display's kind of, you know, we've seen this display in a bunch of other devices at this point. If you compare the look of this thing to the EcoFlow Delta or Gold Zero with their blingy, forward-thinking design, this does look quite dated. Now, simple can be good, and I really don't care about the looks of it. I'm more of a function over form kind of guy. So it doesn't really bother me, but I could see some people disliking it due to the design. And the fact it only comes in this kind of ugly color. Now, do note that the Bluetti 1500, the little brother to this, also comes in black, which I think looks a lot better. Now, is this going to ever come out in black? I don't know. So I'm going to answer the question that all of you are asking right now. All right, Professor, how much is this thing? With current promo codes, it is $16.99. Now that's $16.99 for a 2400 watt portable power station. That's only 70 cents per watt hour. Between now and April 6th, you can use the code HOBO3000 to get $300 off. And after April 6th, you can use the code HOBO1000 to get $100 off. So it obviously makes sense to get this thing sooner than later, so you can use the HOBOTECH code to get $300 off the normal price of $19.99. So what's the main competitor for size and features? Well, there's a couple of the larger Gold Zeros. There's the Titan that everybody keeps asking me about. I haven't had my hands on one of those yet. They're really expensive. They're over $3,000 and they're really heavy. So that's kind of like way out of league of this. This is more for the affordable crowd. There's really nothing out there that I know of that is this price point at this size. Now, there are several of the really, really large, really, really heavy power stations out there that have 2,000-3,000 watt-hour batteries and really large inverters, but they're, you know, very large, very expensive. Competitor versus price, it comes pretty close to the EcoFlow Delta. The EcoFlow Delta is a pretty superior product, but it also is a lot smaller than this. The battery size in the EcoFlow Delta is like half this size. It's got a large inverter, super fast charging. I do have my hands on one, and I am testing it, but I've had some problems getting a hold of the company. I've been trying for the last couple of weeks. So I can't really do that video until I can get a hold of them. So who's this product really aimed at? Well, this is aimed at somebody who wants the ultimate off-grid solution that is portable. This is about as big as you can get and carry it with one hand still. But it's enough power that you could power a cabin for a couple of days. You can power your RV for a couple of days, your van. This is a lot of battery power. If you have a CPAP machine, you can power for probably at least a week off of this. You can run a microwave for a pretty long time on one of these. Like I said, coffee machines. You could probably charge your laptop 20 times off of this, your cell phone 100 times, tablets 100 times. This is a lot of power, guys. This is really the biggest thing I have in my arsenal right now, and I don't see anybody out there who are really offering batteries larger than 2400 watt hours. It's really rare. And those that do, they're well over $3,000, which is almost twice the price of this. So how could you really beat this deal? Now, the next big question I know I'm going to be asked, what kind of solar panels should you get for this? Because a lot of people want to charge this with solar. Well, I recommend the BOUGERV 170 watt panels because I got 4 of those and I was able to put them in a series parallel connection and easily get 500 watts. I mean, they are sizable panels. They are a little bit heavy, but if you're going to mount them on a permanent structure like the roof of your RV, you're going to mount them on some kind of brackets or something outside, they're perfectly manageable size. Now, if you want to go the portable route, you're probably going to need about 3 or 4 of those portable solar panels that I've done reviews on in the past. Now, if you go to hobotech.tv/Amazon and click on the solar area, that'll take you down to where I have all the solar panels that I recommend for this. You get the Renogy panels, you get the MAXOAK panels, the Boden's panels, the BOUGERV panels. They all work with this. However, because this battery is so large, you're going to want at least 300 watts of solar on this. I'm going to suggest going the gusto. Put as much solar into this as you can afford. I'd probably use 600 watts of solar on this to charge it in 5 hours. That means even in the dead of winter, when you usually only get about 8 hours of sun for the entire day, you could charge this up without any problem in 5 hours. And of course, if it's a really cloudy day or thunderstorms, you're not going to be able to charge it all the way. But this is where you overbuild your solar system. As long as you keep the voltage below 67 volts total on this, you can have as many amps as you want because this will cut you off at 10 amps. Overbuild your solar system. You can put 1,000 watts, 2,000 watts of solar into this, and it'll charge at its max 500 watt rate. That's why I'm saying this can actually work for an off-grid solution in a cabin, because how many things in a cabin are you really going to need more than a 1,000 watt inverter for? Not a lot. But you're going to have laptops, you're going to have cell phones, you're going to have all kinds of other things like a TV, and this will power for a very long time. So even if it is cloudy for a couple of days, you have snow or rain for a couple of days, it's no big deal because you have a lot of battery backing you up. And if you're worried that 2400 watt hours isn't enough, well, get 2 while they're on sale. That way you can put one outside and charge it while you're using the other one. And I know a lot of people who'll buy 2 of these things just for that purpose. So check the description below. If you're interested in those BOUGERV 170 watt panels, I'm going to try to get a discount code from them. They're a pretty cool company. If I ask them for a discount code, I might be able to get a discount code for you guys. And if I'm successful at that, look below in the description. I'll post it down there. Maybe give you guys a few bucks off of those panels. They're already cheap as they are. So if you're interested in the MAXOAK Bluetti EB240, look below in the description for the links. There's a link down there that'll get you to the Amazon page. You can put the code in, mentioned below in the description, and get your discount while you can. Don't forget, after April 6th, the promo code's going to change. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching. If you learned something, don't forget to give me a thumbs up below. If you're not a subscriber already, you know what to do. That's it for now. Till next time.
Odin commands you to like and subscribe, and clean my litter box.
The poor horse over there sounds like it's getting its nuts cut off. It's been going for like the last couple of hours. Hey, thank you for watching our video. If you liked it, be sure to subscribe, share, and like. And we'll see you guys next time. Say hi, Odin.
RV Golf Guy, Pat.